Welcome to Local SEO in 10. This is your go-to podcast for answers about how you can grow your local business online easily and quickly. Brought to you by local SEO experts Magnified Media in Walnut Creek, California. In each 10-minute episode, our digital marketing expert Adam Duran answers your questions on how you can get more leads for your business fast. Remember, if you're not taking care of this part of your business right now, you can bet your competitors are. And now, here's our host with the questions, Jamie Duran, and our expert with the answers, Adam Duran.
Hello, Adam.
Hey, Jamie.
How's your week going?
Oh, fast and furious.
Fast and furious. Can you believe it? It's already Thursday. It's almost the end of March.
Yes, that's okay.
Quarter of the year gone already.
That's a crazy way to put it, but yeah, accurate.
All right. What are we talking about today?
Today is inspired by a listener who contacted us a few weeks back, and he is a roofer. And he is one of our podcast listeners, and he had a bunch of great questions, mostly obviously centered around how a roofer could dominate their local area. So that way they get more calls, more business, more money. So that's what we're talking about today, okay? My strategy. If you're a roofer, follow this strategy and it will lead you to lots and lots and lots of business.
Okay.
All right.
Ready.
Okay, first, your Google business profile. That's your Google listing. Make sure that, of course, that is all set up correctly. If possible, if the name of your business has roofer in it, that's a good thing. That will definitely help in your immediately ranking your business locally, having that keyword in that title. Now, if you don't have roofer in the title of your business, it's okay. It's not unsurmountable, but that is one of the ranking factors. So if you have that, that's great. If it's not, then don't just shoehorn it or put it into that title because you could get suspended if it's not legitimate. Okay?
So if you're Bob the Roofer, you're golden. Excellent.
Bob the Roofer, we'll go with that one. On your Google business profile, Bob, you want to have tons and tons and tons of photos, preferably taken from actual jobs, around your service area. They're uploaded from those areas, those service areas. So that way Google will track where those photos are uploaded from. It gives it a good sense of your service area as well. Make sure that your information is all correct. You're not using a UPS store as your address. Make sure your address is shown. Now, if you have a home-based business, try looking into a co-working space for your business. It's easier to verify that business if Google requires it than your home business. Got it?
Got it. And I have a question about that, if
Go.
that's all right.
Sure.
What if you have a truck-based business? Because a lot of roofers I know they do all of their work and phone calls and everything out of their truck.
Yeah, then just like this listener, I recommended find a co-working space. Find a co-working space that's open from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. The rules around this Google definitely does not like post office boxes. Definitely, if you want to rank a service area business, a business where the address is hidden, if you have no competition, totally rankable. Unfortunately, in the roofer industry that I know, not really. It's very tough, very competitive. So you need to have a physical brick and mortar address.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
Co-working space, rent out the office for the verification. Most co-working spaces, if it's a locally owned one, they'll be very receptive to helping you get your location verified because for them, it's actually a selling point. If they can start telling their prospective customers, hey, yeah, so-and-so, got their business verified on Google. We helped them through the whole process. That's a good thing for them too.
Makes sense.
All right. Next one. You want to have a website that was built within the last 3 years.
Okay.
An old one that is not mobile friendly. You want to have it on a fast server so that way its load times are very fast. You probably don't want to get your website from Fiverr or some other offshore company. You want to kind of vet the process. Listen to some previous podcasts about how to find the best web designer for your business, because there is no industry standard. There are no verifications. There's no licensing. Anyone can say that they're a website designer, and there's a lot of bad ones out there.
Okay.
So make sure that when they do design your website, number one, don't do it yourself. You're a roofer, remember? You're not a website designer. So you want to have somebody who can design for two different audiences. One, for humans, and two, for Google. So those are two distinct audiences, and the person or company that you're choosing to design your site, they have to be adept at both of those audiences. And more times than not, we see the web designer is very good with humans and horrible with Google. So there's a lot of ways that we can check. You can go back through our podcast history and do a search there and search for red flags for those. So that way you know who you're deciding on. It's pretty easy to weed them out. Okay?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. The other thing, I know Jamie was going to ask this. Make sure that your website, that your design is not full of red. Okay? For some reason, I see a lot of roofers and home services people who have their site design, and it's got tons and tons of fire engine red all over it. So red is a very visceral color. It makes us feel things. It makes us feel like stopping. So not a good color. Not a good color. Do a 2-minute dive into Google about color theory. Red is not the one you want to choose for your business. Okay?
Yep.
It's blood, right? It makes me feel bad. Anyway, okay. Other stuff. When you are doing your website, make sure that the local organic SEO is done correctly. We've done podcasts about this before as well. So schema has to be done correctly. Your site has to be very fast. Your heading structure has to be done correctly. All of the things that you think, if you've listened to this podcast before, you want to make sure that it's done correctly. Add content that answers potential customer problems. So not just an article about your day, not just an article about, driving to the beach or something like that. Articles about the top 3 ways to spot a roofer who will do a good job. Start thinking about listicles, top 10 lists that surround your business, and start having those created. Those will help your site grow and your authority grow, hence your ranking in your local area grow. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot more that we can talk about with that part of your website. Definitely go back and do a search of our past podcasts, because it's pretty deep, but totally worth it. And if you can't do all this yourself, you can always outsource it. So just make sure you choose a good agency. Last one.
Yep.
We've talked about Google local service ads before. Now, these are great. These are the ads that Google, they're a special kind of Google ad that records every call into your business. An AI reviews that call and then decides, was this a real lead or not? Now, if it was decided by that AI that it was a real lead, they'll charge you for that lead. If the AI decides it was a spam call, they will not charge you for that lead. And guess what? You can dispute that charge. Right away, you can say this wasn't a real lead, and more times than not, Google will remove that from your bill. So this is one of the best ads. It's only available for certain industries, but roofer is one of those. So make sure you take advantage of setting up that account, having the licensing done correctly, your licensing, your insurance, all of that stuff. This is the best ad for your business, and they're just great. So with the caveat, Jamie, guess what? have to have
flag those calls.
Yeah, definitely. Right? You have to monitor that dashboard every day. So every time there's a call that comes in, they have an app for it on your phone. You can mark it as booked or archive it, and then you can put in more information about that person, like their email address. And then after the job is done, through that platform, you can ask Google to ask them for a review. And that's awesome. Because of course, if they write a review, it's going to be up there. So that's great. But the one thing the one caveat I have about these is if you only have a few reviews and your competitors have tons, you won't get any calls.
Well, the roofers that I know and I have met, not really so excited about marketing because they, the phone rings every time it rains. And so
sure.
All they really have to do is wait for the next rain. So if you're a roofer and you're listening to this, you're, good job because you're doing at least 90% more than any other roofer that's out there. So
True.
Great job even listening to this.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. All right. But yeah, definitely have on the times when you are waiting for jobs, this will help increase your pipeline. So you want to make sure that you have a lot of reviews. So not just 5, not just 10, you want to have 50. Your goal should be to have the most reviews in your area as possible. Once you do that, you will be dominating your area. So one last thing about these local service ads is you aren't charged for impressions. That means the number of times your ad is seen, you aren't charged. You're only charged for those contacts, those qualified recorded calls or text messages that Google records. You're only charged for those. So that's different than every other ad that's available. Also, those calls or those text messages, they only go to your company. So they don't go, so with other lead generating systems, like Yelp, for example, Yelp will send out that lead to all of your competitors as well, which that's not good. So you'll have exclusive access to that lead. I mean, these are really, really good and probably one of the best kind of ads that I've seen. Okay.
Very good.
That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
4 things. You do those 4 things, Jamie, and you're going to be dominating your local roofing area.
Yeah, if you do one, you'll probably dominate anything. So.
You'd be surprised. There are tons of good roofers who, because they make great money. Replacing a roof can be very expensive. So yeah, they make very good money, and they know that these work. So definitely.
Well, good, and thank you to the roofers who are listening to this podcast.
Sure.
And we do appreciate if you can. Recommend this podcast to any other contractors or anyone in your upline, downline supply chain. That would be great because they will be able to share this podcast out as well. And doesn't just apply to roofers. It applies to almost every other industry too that's looking for local business. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for providing reviews on this podcast wherever you're listening to it. And if you have a question about a previous episode, go to our webpage, magnifiedmedia.net, click on the podcast button, and then from there, go ahead and put in that search term, like Adam was mentioning, listicles, for example. And there's at least 2 or 3 podcasts that we discuss listicles and how you can use them for your business. So with that, we will talk to you next week, and we appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
That's all for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of Local SEO in 10 with Google local marketing expert Adam Duran. Join us each week for answers to your questions on how to best harness the power of the internet to grow your business. Speaking of questions, got some? Message us through our Facebook page, Local SEO in 10, and we'll be sure to give you your answer on an upcoming episode. This episode of Local SEO in 10 is brought to you by Magnified Media, the leading online marketing agency in Northern California, who invite you to grow your business by magnifying your online visibility and credibility. Visit them on the web at www.magnifiedmedia.com. Magnify your business, magnify your profits.